So we're going to recap our lesson from earlier this week. So we've been talking about inequalities and how they're similar to and different from equations. And with inequalities, we talked about how there's a whole range of solutions that can make the inequality true. And we call that the solution set. So in this inequality, -1/2 times t is less than 10. A possible solution would be any value of t that when I replace t with that value and I multiply it by -1/2, it's less than 10. So let's look at how we actually solve those. We began by treating it like an equation. And the reason we do that is because it gives us this boundary value. So that tells us, if this were an equation, that -20 would be the one value of t that would make a true statement. -1/2 times -20 equals 10. But we need that for our inequality because it's going to be now either values that are greater than -20 or less than -20 that are solutions. So I need that value. So then what we did, we looked at that Andre's tested out strategy, right? So to see what the range of values is that makes the inequality true, we decided we're going to test out some values that were greater than or less than -20. So here's me choosing -6. That's bigger than -20, right? So I evaluate with -6. I see that -1/2 times -6 is 3, and 3 is less than 10. True statement. Let's, though, try a value less than -20. So if I pick -22, I do the same thing. I end up with 11 is less than 10, which is not a true statement. So that tells me something really, really important. That tells me that any number I pick greater than -20, that works. That gives me a true inequality statement at the end. Those are all solutions. Any number that I chose that's less than -20, that does not work. That gives me a false inequality statement at the end. So I can say my solution set is that t is greater than -20. So that's a recap of solving. Before I do a recap of graphing, what questions do you have on solving? Going once, twice. Okay, graphing. So remember we plotted some points the other day of places where we could have solutions and then couldn't have solutions to that inequality x is greater than or equal to y. So for an example, 5, 4, that point would be a solution because if I replaced x with 5 and y with 4, 5 is greater than or equal to 4. 4, 6 would not be a solution because 4 is not greater than or equal to 6. So that was sort of what we did on Desmos, right? And we ended up with this interesting looking thing when we overlaid everyone's responses right on top of each other, where we no longer really have these individual points in some areas. We have them all sort of blending together. And this is kind of where we ended class. We talked about how all these ordered pairs are solutions, and we're going to show the solution set to an inequality by shading in that whole area of the graph that shows solutions. And so what I would like for everyone to do right now is open your Desmos graphing calculator in a new tab. If you need that, one moment. It's just desmos.com/calculator, but I'll drop it in the chat. So what I want all of us to make sure we can do is successfully graph an inequality, specifically this one that we were just looking at here, x is greater than or equal to y, in Desmos. So what I'm going to ask you to do is watch what I'm doing first. Then I'm going to have you try, and I'm going to have you give me a thumbs up when you can do it. All right, Jameer, welcome. I need for you to please open up the slides. That'll make your own copy of the slides for today. And I need you to open this Desmos in a new tab. All right, so if I am trying to graph this inequality on Desmos, I'm going to start out just like I would if it were an equation. Now to get Desmos to put in that greater than or equal to, I'm going to put greater than, which for me on my keyboard is right above the period. So I push shift period and equal to. And watch what happens when I put equal to. So Desmos automatically turns that into the greater than or equal to symbol when I enter them right next to each other like that. And X is greater than or equal to Y. Watch what happens. So, and let me change the color since I know we were shading our solutions in green. So the way that I changed the color was this little gear thing, and then it let me click on the color to pick a new one. So this looks like what our Desmos from the other day would look like if we just kept plotting points. What I would like for you now to do is try this on your own in your Desmos tab, and please give me a thumbs up or a yes or some indication over on the right-hand side there when you've successfully graphed this inequality.